Hi, welcome to your October Culture Club unboxing video. I am still Adri, nothing has changed, but I have a pal with me. Meet our...
I'm a pal?
Food expert, beverage expert, our noshing Vanna White, Scott Gardner.
Also, here's your stuff.
Also, you get things. This comes in the box. Scott Gardner does not come in the box.
Do not come
We're
in the
very
box.
sorry, but we brought him in to help us with one of the ingredients you're getting, and he's going to show you how to do something very, very delicious with it. So until then, he's going to taste test everything for you so that we can prove that we know what we're doing. So let's dive into it. You got some very fun, very spooky beginning of cold weather ingredients and snacks and things that we're super excited about. So let's start with your salami. We got ahead of the game on this one and opened it up for you. This is from Elevation Meats in Denver, Colorado, made by our friend Chad Nealon. It is his mole salami. We love Elevation because it is uniquely and unapologetically itself. There are really, really fun ingredients to every single thing that he makes, and some of them are super classic. His fennel pollen salami feels very Tuscan, but let's talk mole salami. If you want salami, but you also want mole, and you don't have mole just lying around in your kitchen,
It's true.
Here's your answer.
I've been there.
You know what? We feel for you, and now we have the answer for you. So this is really delicious, very sustainable pork mixed with cinnamon, chipotle, all of the classic mole spices, along with a chocolate stout. I really love to see the types of booze that Chad uses because it's always really interesting, and when you know it's there, you find yourself pulling out those flavors. So here you might not pull out like distinct notes of chocolate stout, but it helps to round out and create that mole experience, and we love it a lot. So slice this up and pair it with all of these things, or cube it up, pan fry it, pull it out, and then cook some scrambled eggs in that fat, and then throw it back in. You have this fun little crunchy topping. All I want to do is brunch with all of my friends. I want to drink Irish coffee, have eggs, and feel my feelings next to a fire, and I hope you do the same if you too are full of feels. But if you are not, you can pair it with beer or a cocktail or whatever you want. I am not your mother, so you get to decide for yourself. That is your mole salami.
She is taking applications for adoption.
Would get adopted. If you also like eggs on the weekend, we can talk. I will be your offspring, your child, your adopted orphan. You know what? We'll talk. Cheese. Let's have cheese. We're gonna go softest to hardest. You might have just seen this in a Wine Wednesday. It is our favorite October cheese because it looks October-y. Our two skulls, the double skull, made in tandem with our pals at Epic Brewing. This is Lombardia's most beloved Taleggio, washed with Epic's double skull doppelbock, and it brings out a much funkier, pungent, more umami, more root vegetable flavor in the cheese, and it makes it altogether more delicious, but makes it really, really fun to enjoy with all of your favorite hot carbs. If you are pasta people, if you are polenta people, if you are risotto people, if you are potato people, choose your carb of choice, choose your fighter, and melt this guy on it, and life becomes infinitely delicious. However, here is your warning. If you cook with Taleggio, you should be warned that your house will smell like Taleggio for the next 24 to 48 hours. There is no prayer, no Palo Santo, no candle. No secret to getting rid of it. So if you have in-laws coming and you don't want them to stay for very long, make something with Taleggio. Nobody wants to be around because it stinks to high heaven, but boy is she tasty. And that's why we love her the very, very most. So I'm going to get serious about this, but check out this rind. First of all, it's super, super sticky. That is the sign of a very, very healthy Taleggio. That means that it's been well loved and washed. In this case, with Doppelbock beer by our Affinus Antonia and her crew. But it creates this really healthy bright orange rind. It is October's cheese. I don't think that you can get any better than this, and it's going to warm you up from the inside out. Things just stay delicious when there's Taleggio around. So
got the skulls, October.
Yeah.
Doppelbock, Oktoberfest.
It's all the things.
It's like everything that you want.
If October needed a cheese mascot, it would be this one. We choose you, Double Skull, but we could also choose Challerhocker. If you are more of an Alpine style cheese person, or you're not quite ready to dive into the funk 24/7 like we are, this is the one for you. But this is what she looks like in her full wheel, because we wanted you to see the nice child on this cheese. You get to decide if they're happy to see you, if they've been possessed, or how your Challerhocker baby feels. But if this were a Halloween costume, it would be on my face. I would be the Challerhocker baby for Halloween quite easily.
It's me.
If any of you can print this out and bring it to me, I will wear it for you. Challerhocker is, I think, a really fantastic example of a really well-made Alpine style cheese. It's made by Walter Rass in Switzerland. It's aged for 10 months, and after the rind has formed, it does get lightly washed with a salt brine. So you don't get the same funk and pungency of the Taleggio. You get a lot more nutty caramelized notes from that classic method of making Alpine style cheeses, but this one also wants to be melted. In this case, I would go for maybe not melting into your carb of choice, but making into a sauce, melting as a grilled cheese, grating into maybe a fondue. But this is one that I think is delicious enough that it should be enjoyed on its own. I always have this cheese in my fridge because whenever people end up coming over, and they always do, we get the munchies, or the drunchies after our cocktails, as we like to say, and this is the answer to that. It's beautiful. It smells like brown butter and toasted nuts, but the rind is really nice. So this back rind, I think, adds a lot of flavor. It kind of tastes like toasted peanuts and maybe a little bit of tahini, and it adds this really nice kind of granular chew to an otherwise very silky paste, and I want it all the time, and you deserve it all the time, and I want to know what nut you taste in the rind, because for me it's peanuts and tahini, and I stand by what I said.
Sometimes, especially in like sauces, peanuts and like sesame can
Yes.
have a very similar.
This is why we invited him, don't you see?
And also, I've had both of these and can confirm they are delicious. I will eat this just straight. I'll eat both of them straight, let's be honest.
Look, a gift.
I will eat this straight.
Go. We're gonna see what he tastes.
Not a liar.
This is one that you should just be snacking on. It can
It's
be
delicious. It almost has like a butterscotchy, like,
yeah.
yeah.
The toasty butteriness of an Alpine cheese, I think,
Yeah,
is
love that.
so well done in this one in particular. Like, you can tell.
And it does feel fall.
Yeah?
It does.
You just feel it on
Maybe
the
it's
inside?
just because it's cold outside,
Well-
so I'm going to say anything feels like fall.
Well,
You know what?
the cheese
That
doesn't help.
looks like fall.
Behold. Vanna White, barely buzzed, from our friends at Beehive Cheese. Beehive Cheese is one of the most award-winning American cheese companies, and they're in our backyard, and we love them so much. We've worked with them on a number of projects. They're the foundation for our house-aged cheddar, but this was the first cheese that we carried from them and the one that made me fall in love with them. This cheese won them 5 different first-place awards at the American Cheese Society competition. They've won countless other awards after that. I think this is one of Utah's best cheeses, and it's got the longest pass. It's been made since 2007. So if that doesn't tell you how good it is, then let me tell you. This is their promontory cheddar base, rubbed with some espresso and lavender. Tim got the bright idea to put coffee beans and some lavender in a burr grinder and grind it up and adhere it to kind of a baby promontory and see how it went. And people thought that he lost his marbles, and as people at Caputo's, who also are told that quite often with all the things we do here, it's nice to see somebody succeed. So this one is always the star of the show. People get really excited when they see this cheese. It has a really wonderful aroma. It is easy to love. For people that are new to fine cheese, I think this is one of the first ones that I always like to give them, because it brings them in, gives them a fun, warm, aromatic hug, and then kind of opens the floodgates to the chaos that is our cheese caves and all of the fun that can be had beyond that. So,
And it's cheddar, and everybody knows that word, so people feel very comfy. It's like,
the people love
oh,
cheddar.
thank God.
Yeah.
Was hoping there'd be a cheddar around here.
Another.
I'll eat it.
So you can eat this rind, or you don't have to eat this rind.
I'll
It's
just eat
totally up to. Okay, well, he's done it, and watch, he's gonna be alive when we're done with this. It's all going to be
I
fine.
ate that rind too.
Did it taste like peanuts?
It had, I think, almost more leaning towards this, like a toasted sesame vibe
Okay.
for me.
I love it when we're right.
Mm-hmm.
We're in agreement. have this by itself. I think it does really, really well when it is at room temperature. Pull it out of your fridge 30 minutes to an hour before you're ready to enjoy it. You can cube it up, you can put a knife next to it. The presentation style is not important. It is important that you go whole hog into this by itself, because when it gets mixed up with other things, I think you lose a lot of that really, really nice, delicate lavender flavor. And in this very rare case, it is not soapy, and I would like to commend them for that, because lavender is one of those things that can hurt my feelings more than anything else in the entire world. I don't know how you feel about it.
I think it can be great and it can be awful. I mean, sometimes when it's done correctly, it gives like slight floral, but it has like a kind of mild peppery quality to it. And I think because cheddars tend to be simultaneously like sharp, salty, and sort of sweet, the coffee is really nice because it gives it some bitterness, dries it out a little bit. These are all great things.
He's taking over this. I'm not doing this anymore. You don't need me.
We do need you. Otherwise,
we are a team. We make a great team. We're
feel
the yin and yang of food and bev for these 5 minutes. Let's have chocolate. You came here for the chocolate. We came here for the chocolate. These things are chocolate, not chocolate. Omnom has a knack, as you know, for making really outstanding packaging. It feels whimsical and fun and celebratory, holiday inspired. These are not just available around Halloween and October. They're available year round, but now's the time to eat them, obviously. Look at them. Let's start with your coffee and milk. Omnom is based in Reykjavik, if you didn't know that, and now you do. Started by our friends, Kjartan and Oscar. Hi, we love you a lot. We miss you. This is one of the bars that led me to believe that they are, in fact, the brightest men in the world. I love them. This is a chocolate bar that does not have any cacao solids in it. And when we say that, normally we think of white chocolate. However, the cacao solids that you expect in a bar like this have been replaced with coffee beans. So you have cocoa butter, and instead of cocoa beans, you have coffee beans. And then there is a little bit of milk powder and some sugar, and it is basically a latte in solid form. If you are out of coffee and you need a little pick-me-up, she'll do it for you.
Chew this, spit it back into water, shake it. That will be in our next cocktail. Okay, I mean, you could. Maybe we do that next time. Maybe we try it out. We'll be back with more. But, holy cow. Don't do that. Don't listen to me.
I mean, we can't tell you what to do. If you're going to spit chocolate out, you're going to spit chocolate out. We are going to swallow the chocolate because we love the chocolate. How wild is that?
It has like caramel.
Mm-hmm.
It tastes very naughty, like naughty coffee.
Like a dulce de leche coffee thing.
Yeah, very much so.
Naughty coffee. I hope you're all enjoying all of the things we're saying. Please remember that we're doing it because we love it. It's alarmingly good. I don't want to tell you how many of these bars I've had in the last year because they have replaced my afternoon coffee. I thought it'd be a great idea to drink enough coffee for 4 people in the mornings, and then when I start to feel the slump, I eat a third of this. And look at me, I feel great.
Hands are solid.
I'm fine, it's fine. For as fun and whimsical as all this packaging is, Omnom is super responsible with their transparency reports on where they're sourcing all their stuff and how much their farmers are getting paid, and it feels really, really good to support a company that is giving back to the people at the very, very beginning of the process. So keep that in mind when you're eating this. They're beautiful, but they're also really, really fantastic humans, and for that, we love them. Now, black and burned barley. Matt Caputo was given a sample of this when we saw them at a show in San Francisco. They didn't tell him what it was, and he guessed it immediately. And I got jealous, so I tried to do the same thing, and I was not quite as successful, but close. This is their black and burnt barley. So it looks black as night. That comes from charcoal, activated charcoal, but it is a barley bar. It is a white chocolate base again, but there is malted barley.
Cool.
There is liquid, solid, crunchies on the back, activated charcoal to make it look big and deep and sexy, but it's a completely different textural experience and taste experience that feels familiar, but still innovative, cool, fun to share with friends, fun to have next to a glass of something brown. This wants malt in your glass as well. They're really, really fun to pair together. Sometimes we want to juxtapose flavors, but this one, lifting up different types of grain and malt, feels really, really cool. So whether it is beer or whiskey, boy, is it fun. So that's what we're doing with this one. How is this one?
It's really, really good. I actually haven't had that yet. And there is like a very distinctive like chocolate, but also like barley syrup sort of a quality to it. Which I'm sure you've talked about in videos like this in the past. The fact of the matter is things like chocolates, cheeses, salamis, obviously like for the longest time, we've been stuck in this this concept and era of wine is the only thing that pairs with food. But especially when it comes to chocolate and richer, kind of sweeter, and I think aggressively savory and fatty things, spirits are great. Like malt, I'm like dipping, I'm leaving mezcal season kind of right now, but we're on the cusp. And I'm just about to enter like single malt season. And for me, that's like the ultimate.
Single malt season, we love it.
Single malt season, here we come.
Have the black and burnt with your next single malt. And tell us what you think. I really, really appreciate like the initial crunch of the barley on the back, and then how it feels like it has that like really nice like toasted grain chew.
Yeah.
Like I sneak bites of farro before it's done because I just really enjoy the texture, and this feels like that. And now you know why I'm in therapy. Okay, last chocolate.
Raw grain.
I don't know. It's a blessing and a gift, also a curse for when I have to floss. New, exciting, limited edition, the thing that I have been really excited to share with you. This is the smoked heirloom Chile bar from Cuna de Piedra. It is Mexico in a wrapper. It feels so special to work with people that are growing cacao in specific regions and then honoring the neighbors that are also growing heirloom Chile from Mexico and not those newly created varietals that are being made for their high yield and massive quantity. There's not a lot of this Chile being grown, and they were able to find it from one small producer. It gets hand destemmed and seeded, and then gets smoked over fruit woods like guava and wild cherry, and then mixed with cacao from Tabasco, so the neighboring region. And it is just cool, and it feels really special to share this with you of all people. You're looking at two Burqueños. We found our friendship in New Mexico. We were both born there and grew up there, and we share a fondness for food from that area. And
absolutely,
to be able to share it from Mexico as well is just super special. But while he's enjoying that, take a look at this mold. It's the same on the foil as it is in the bar, so you get it there as well. Cuna de Piedra is one of our newest chocolate makers that we have the opportunity to work with, and I feel incredibly grateful for their presence and their existence and the way that they are introducing new techniques, but also very, very old techniques in a modernized way that celebrates it and still holds on to it. So this feels like a piece of that. It also feels like the piece of really, really old civilizations that were making not sweet chocolate drinks that were founded on water and other smoked heirloom chiles and things like that that are not chocolate like we know it today. So this is bringing that history to the forefront, celebrating it, and talking about other heirloom varietals of vegetables. It's not just about heirloom tomatoes. There are heirloom seeds for a variety of things that we eat, and to be able to experience them in something like this is really, really cool. So I can't wait for you guys to try this and tell us what you think. How was it for you?
It's really good. That's like the type of chocolate where, for my little section, is definitely like where I was going with that. Love the acidity of a chocolate like that. The heat, really nice. I really like very spicy things, and oftentimes my gauge for what is spicy for people is false. But I think that the spice on this is like very doable.
Okay.
Mellow.
Approachable.
It's very approachable. It's just kind of just tingles like on like sort of like mid to back palate. I think it's great. Amazing. Flavor is awesome. It's roasty. It's fruity.
It is all the things that we love. This is what the bar looks
acidity,
like.
Yeah, the acidity is
really
awesome on that.
This is their logo. Cuna de Piedra means cradle of stone. Like what we use to make chocolate. So here's that. Your last fun little addition are chocolate bitters from King Floyd's. They're based in Novato, California. We love them because they make their bitters bitter. And I know that sounds redundant, but the amount of bitters we've tried recently that are not at all bitter is a learning. And I don't know how these people are allowed to make things that are like qualified as non-potable bitters. These are bitter. When you want to introduce bitterness to a cocktail, this is usually where we start. They have done an exceptional job of getting really, really intense and pungent and full flavored extractions. They started with medical grade extractions, and then they brought all of that technique to the food world. So we love King Floyd's, but we love this guy too.
Ooh.
And we asked him to show us how to use it because people like me are just bad at cocktails. I can't do it. I don't know why. We look to people like him. So
well, these days I feel like most people are better than they used to be because YouTube exists and everybody has a blog. So the fact of the matter is I've been doing this professionally as bartender for just about 15 years. And I do enjoy making cocktails and creating flavors. A lot of the cocktails that we make at my bar take a little bit more time and energy and a little bit more prep. And prep-intensive cocktails are a lot of fun. They're pretty and they're impressive, but oftentimes they go a little further beyond what most people want to do at home. Mm-hmm. I've learned that in the past by doing sort of videos and showing people like advanced techniques, and they're like, that's all good and great, but can you make it and send it to me? And then I'm like, absolutely not. That sounds like a whole lot of heartache, and I just don't want to do it. So this time we're just going to do something in the realm of classic. We're using semi-traditional ratios for the idea is based off of a Negroni. This was a thought just because I've used cacao, like really kind of like acidic, fruity cacao and Campari before, and during one of the chocolate festivals. And I love the flavor profile of Campari and chocolate bitters, or just chocolate cacao in general, together. Other times when you're looking at cocktails, and please take what we're doing right now as sort of just like a set of just like general guidelines. Take what we're talking about as with the understanding that you can swap out ingredients, that you can make it your own, because these ratios end up working really, really well. So I'm assuming that if anybody out there is sort of a fan of the quote-unquote craft cocktail, then I'm sure we've all had Negronis or Boulevardiers. There's things like Oaxacan Negronis kicking around out there. There's Oaxacan Old Fashions. A lot of these classic things utilize things like chocolate bitters. The Oaxacan Old Fashioned usually uses like a mole bitters. But we're looking at kind of like things that can pair really, really well with what we've already tasted. And just like I was saying, agave is sort of like starting to leave my thought process of what I'm wanting this time of year, but it's hanging on. And with kind of deeper, richer flavors, we can get a little bit more length out of our agave. So what we're going to do is use the understanding or the idea of a Oaxacan Negroni, right? So we've got our Campari. A classic Negroni is going to be your gin, sweet vermouth, and Campari. It is a bitter, it's a powerful, potent, and sweet cocktail. The sweetness is basically what helps sort of make the bitterness of Campari make sense. But Campari also already has a massive amount of sugar in it. So if we're reducing the sensation of bitterness in other ways, one of them is literally just through being cold and giving it dilution with water, diluting with spirit, providing acidity, then we can give ourselves a little bit of wiggle room. So we're not going to be adding sweet vermouth to our Negroni today. We're going to be utilizing Amontillado sherry. So what we're going to do, and if you're following along and you've been watching this video the whole time, staring at these bottles and thought to yourself, maybe I should collect these bottles to make my cocktail along with the video, which I don't know why you wouldn't have done that already.
What are you doing?
You already have this out. So any sort of a good basic espadín, like pit roasted mezcal is going to do the trick. You want big smoky mezcal. Yes, saying that to a lot of people sounds like redundant, because a lot of people think mezcal is smoky innately by nature, but a lot of it actually is not very smoky. Depends on how they roast the agave. But the kind of more cost-effective, anything that you kind of find it between that like $28 to $40 realm, which is usually about where I'll use things for a cocktail. Once you get north of that, you typically want to sip them, especially for us in like the bar world. We want to make sure that we're delivering, good price points to our people as well. So This one is 100% espadín. It was 100% pit roasted. This is the Oaxaca Mezcal from really good friends of ours. The Oaxaca distillery is down in San Dionisio, and they're great people, but it's really powerful and smoky. So we're going to use the smoky mezcal in just an ounce. A classic Negroni is going to be a 1 ounce by 1 ounce Campari by 1 ounce sweet vermouth. Again, we're going to change this up just a little bit to make some of the flavor profiles a little bit more prominent. Next, we're going to take our Campari. We're going to go 3/4 of an ounce. The nice thing about this drink being all alcohol is if you're utilizing these ratios, you can actually make massive batches of this and keep it in the fridge in a bottle, and then you just pour it over ice when you're ready.
Pro tip.
Now, before anybody out there in the world of the interwebs gets too fancy schmancy on their builds, yes, you can definitely build this in a glass. Classically, they are built in a glass, but we're doing this in a slightly different way and giving you some options. So that was a 3/4 ounce pour of our Amontillado sherry. It is a Spanish wine that has been aged under flor for a period of time, and then has an amount of neutral grain or grape spirit added to it to increase the alcohol content to a point where that bacteria dies and exposes the sherry to alcohol, and it gives it this really nice oxidative, nutty, sort of salted caramel sort of characteristic. But the thing that we love about this is the acidity. Next, we're going to put a nice goodly dasher. These are oftentimes meant to be one dash, or like one dasher top full is sort of one dash. When you have one of the bottles that just has a little hole in the top of it and you do the aggressive dash and a dash again, the idea is that a dropper full, I think that they're about a dash and a half personally. So for our needs, we're gonna go 1 1/3. And then through the magic of this, we have ice.
Beep, beep, beep.
When you're stirring a cocktail, and I know I'm pouring a little bit of water in this right now too, because we're not in a bar. You want to pour in a fair amount of ice. At my bar, I'll usually pack my mixing glass or my glass if I'm doing it pretty close up to the top, right? The goal is to make the cocktail diluted. A finished cocktail typically lands anywhere between 25 and 35% water by volume, and that's where you get a cocktail that actually has all the flavors sort of marry, and they are really tasty and nice together. Because of the nature of this being similar to a Negroni, we've got a little bit of wiggle room with how long we stir it. Again, we're making drinks at home. We're not going out to the bar. We're not selling this to people. So we're allowed to do things like drop an ice cube and not stir it for as long.
We're not sorry.
I'm not sorry. And then we pour over fresh ice because the drink's already nice and cold, and that fresh ice isn't already waterlogged. And then you can do things like spritz a little orange peel over it. You can do a lemon peel if you want to brighten it up. You can do all sorts of really fun stuff, or you can do nothing at all. Because you're at home and you're tired, it's been a long day, why would you want to go through peeling a piece of fruit and expressing your blah, 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 blah. We don't have to do that. Instead, you can crack open a bar of this Cuna de Piedra. You can crack open some of the burnt barley stuff, and you can enjoy a cocktail with that. And this gives the bitterness, it gives some smoke, it gives some richness, and the real thing that kind of changes this and dries it out is the sherry, which packs in a really, really nice kind of amount of acidity that I think kind of mirrors acidity of dark chocolates really, really well. And that's the drink.
Cheers.
Cheers.
It's been October-y, y'all. I'm eating this.
Do I drink on camera?
You sure can. We're living our best life. We want you to recreate this, all of this. Tell us what you love. Tell us what was exciting. Tell us what was cool. Tell us what you want more of. And we'll see you in the comments. But be good to each other. We think you're wonderful. Thank you for being part of this program. We're really excited to bring things like this to you. It feels special and it feels exciting. And we're looking forward to many more. So we'll see you next time. Bye, y'all.
Thumbs up.